Welcome to The Last Word. Chris Popes, I'm David Jenkins, and Chris, we got a little basketball action kind of going on lately.
Yeah, there's a lot of basketball going on right now.
Less and less every day, though.
Less and less every day. Teams dropping like flies.
Thank goodness.
It's a little tiring on the road a little bit.
It gets a little tiring this time of year.
That's okay. It's fun, though. It's very exciting stuff.
At least the games we have now are usually pretty good games. They're fun games.
Yeah.
They're not...
Unless you're watching, like, Cape Central Kennett, which is maybe the ugliest district semifinal I've ever seen.
Fortunately, I went home and went to the office and
watched a blowout.
Well, I watched a blowout.
Yeah.
Watched some Gideon Advance.
Yeah, so we really lie when we say stuff is exciting because a lot of times it's not.
I liked it because I had the Gideon Advance. I had it.
You know,
that's one of the few that I've had.
We make our predictions for district championships and all that stuff, and poor Jinx just half of his stuff was gone after the first day.
Yeah, it was not a good run for me as far as picking districts, but hey, I came through with Gideon.
You got Gideon.
Most people didn't have that one. I had that one, but that's all I've got.
I'll give you props to that one. You called that one for sure.
That's all I've got left. So I'm done. Finish the show.
So we'll talk a little bit about Gideon. You know, they pretty much took the Advance, a team maybe thought to go back to the Final Four again for the second straight year. And Gideon, I mean, they're just not a team that you don't hear a lot about throughout the year. And I mean, they obviously a very good team. They kind of took it to Advance a little bit. They have a lot of players back from last year. A very experienced group.
Right, they're a senior team. I mean, this is their year to make the run, and they just picked Advance apart. You know, Advance Mayo got in foul trouble early, but I don't think that really mattered. They were just, got the ball inside a lot. Gideon has a lot of size, and they have kids that can drive to the basket. They've got guard. I mean, they're a well-rounded team. They're they're going to be tough to deal with in Class 1. They're just, when the first time I saw them, I just thought how balanced they were, as far as height and guards, and they could shoot a little bit, they could rebound. They're just a tough team, and Advance found that out.
They got the Earnhardt kid. They got a lot of those guys that I mean, if you're in the basketball scene, you've heard of them before. Just you've seen them before. What talk about the Earnhardt kid, and I think who's
Lawrence.
Inside. Just kind of talk about them. What have you seen from them?
Well, Lawrence is a big kid inside. He can play inside, and he can even kind of come out a little bit. But he's a force inside. And then Earnhardt, he can slash the basket. He can pull up and shoot it. They've got a good guard, Buchanan. I don't know if it's. I think it may be the coach's son. I'm not sure on that, but I know they have the same last name. But he doesn't score much. He doesn't look to score, but he does a good job handling the basketball. The game I saw, he defended the other team's top scorer very well, and they guard well. They don't turn it over a lot. They're not so I mean, like I said, there are a lot of seniors. They're guys that have been there and done that. They lost to Advance last year in the sectional game, so they were kind of fired up, ready to go again. And I think that I really think that they can make some noise in Class 1 and maybe not only get to the Final Four, but maybe make some noise when they get there.
First team that has the opportunity that doesn't have a Scott Central team in their way from the Tri-County Conference that can, in a while, they can make it to Columbia.
Man, has it been North Pemscott? Was that the last one back in the 80s? That the last Tri-County team that I know that Clarkton's had a couple that didn't quite get there, and that's had some good teams. But I can't remember Delta C7 had some good teams. I think in the early '90s, Scott Central was in their way.
You might be right. North Pemscott might be the last Tri-County
in Class
team
1.
In Class 1. To make that Final Four. That's
been a long time. Early 80s.
It really is, and Tri-County Conference don't get talked about a lot. It's a competitive conference. It's not maybe the top tier talent wise, but it's a very competitive conference, and those teams they take it very seriously. I know that for sure. They love the Tri-County basketball. It's a run as fast as you can down the court, put up a shot and run. It's back and forth action nonstop.
A lot of those teams, they like the up tempo. We're going to shoot a bunch of threes. Gideon's not that way. Yeah, Gideon's under control. They did score a lot of points against Advance, but Advance kind of dictates that. Advance likes to get out and run as well. But Gideon can play slower and sit down and guard in the half court, and they're kind of not your normal Tri-County team that we've kind of got used to seeing the last few years. But Tri-County basketball, it's an exciting brand of basketball. You don't know what's going to happen.
No idea.
No idea as far as from the stands all the way onto the floor.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. There's always that edge there because you never know what might happen.
And there are some a lot of small towns and some serious rivalries there. And I mean, just brutal rivalries.
I bring that up
area.
because it's nice to see that kind of have a representative, because they all, even though they do have some brutal rivalries and stuff, they all take it very seriously, and it's very close. Like if you're in the Tri-County Conference, it's kind of like a little family that they have, you know, because they're kind of by themselves, little small communities. It's awesome. It's an awesome experience to be at one of those games for sure. So, but anyway, Gideon, they got a shot, and let's move up to the big boys now. The Class 4 District 1 semifinals are over and done with, and we still got the girls tonight. But the boys' matchup is set, and it's pretty much the matchup that everybody thought and was anticipating.
Barely.
Was anticipating for a second time. You got Sikeston, top seed Sikeston, facing number 2 Cape Central. Jinx, Cape Central has handed Sikeston its only loss in the Orange Wall up in Cape. Now they're coming down to the field house. Do they have enough to do it again?
No.
Why?
I don't know. For some reason, I'm feeling, a 15, 20 point Sikeston win. I just, when Sikeston typically loses a game like that, they usually come back and, it's a not quite the same game. Coach Hollifield, I know, has been, intense in practice, getting them ready. They just annihilated Dexter. Cape Central struggled against Kennett. They didn't look good against Kennett, and they're going to have to play a lot better than that against Sikeston, which you expect them to.
But that's the thing with Cape Central.
They're so up and down. You never know.
I think they intentionally ugly a game. I really do. I don't. They never, ever look like they're on. Yeah, except when they're playing Sikeston. Now, when they're playing Sikeston, it's a different team. It really is.
Cape Central will be motivated.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to be fired up and they're going to be ready to go. And you would hope that Cape's going to bring some more fans than they brought to the semifinal game the other night. The few crickets that were there were kind of.
It's kind of a shame that a team that can be that good and I understand why people don't want to watch, because it's not pretty to watch.
No, it's not.
It's not exciting stuff to watch. But still, you have a team that's every single year has the talent to make it to state and to perform well there, and it's just not supported.
I've been very vocal about the lack of student support for Sikeston. They show up for the big games, but not for the smaller games, for the most part. But there's a lot more Sikeston, student section than there is Cape Central games. So hopefully they bring a big crowd, and hopefully it's a good atmosphere. I expect it will be, but I just think Sikeston is the better team. I think it's a matchup problem for Sikeston. Cape's very athletic, and Alec Young brings just all kinds of trouble for them. But I just think Sikeston is going to be ready to play. I think Sikeston puts them away early.
I was talking with a prominent Sikeston member of the Sikeston basketball staff. And there's no one really. Sikeston kind of gets a little bit bumped up with the level of athletes they have. They're kind of disguised a little bit, just the way that they run. They don't have anybody that can match up with Al Young as far as speed-wise and up and down the floor. They don't have anybody that can match up with Newell and their point guard, which I really like. Newell, I think he's a fantastic point guard. And they just don't have a lot of guys that can match up athletically with what Cape brings. But somehow, some way, a lot of times with teams like that, they find ways to win. It's because the system that they have, everybody knows their role, and it's just one of those things where they know exactly what to do.
Yeah, it's just it's hard to pick them to win after how bad they looked against Kennett. It's just hard to pick them, and I don't know. I just think that I think Sikeston puts them away early, because I think Sikeston comes out extremely fired up. It's one of those games where they're slapping the floor right off the the little slap the floor thing, which is kind of silly, but whatever gets you motivated. And I think they come out and they're fired up early. They force some turnovers early, and then I think Cape's on their heels from then on. I think they're not playing in the orange disgusting mess that is the Cape Central gym.
I've heard some talk about that, over the last couple of weeks, and just how it affected Sikeston in that game. Now, it just sounds to me like an excuse. And now, this isn't anybody in the basketball team or any of the coaching staff making that excuse. It is fans shooting and playing in a orange-covered gym. Somehow, some way has crept into people's minds that affects teams.
I don't know how it affects the shooting of the basketball, but I know how it affects shooting of pictures, and it's a pain in the butt.
I can imagine. I mean, it takes a while to get adjusted to something like that.
Right.
Your eyes, it really does.
But seriously, I talk about, I kind of joke about shooting pictures, but you're looking through your lens, and it does impact you a little bit, and it's kind of the same way when you go and play at Three Rivers. They kind of have that yellowness to it, and it's kind of difficult when you first go in there to to shoot. and I can imagine it'd be tough to shoot a basketball there just because it's kind of a different environment, different, and each. I've heard the same thing about the field house. You're shooting the first half. You're shooting toward the stands over there with a different backdrop, and then you go back the other way, and it's a different backdrop that way. And Sykeston's used to it. Other teams, it takes a while to get used to. So I think the environment does play a small factor in the way you shoot, and it's definitely a fact that Sikeston does not shoot well at the Cape Central gym. That's definitely a fact.
I can't remember the last time Cape Central beat Sikeston not at home. I can't place a finger on when they actually did that, but all their big losses have come at Cape Central, and it might just be just the home court advantage type, and that's fine. The field house is Sikeston's domain. They are pretty much
they play well
untouchable
there. They don't lose many district titles there, although it's
last
happened.
Year.
It's happened last year.
Last year it happened,
but it seems to only happen when the other team is Notre Dame. So we'll see. I hope it's a good game. I really do. I hope it goes down to the wire. I really hope but I just don't think it will be. I think Sikeston takes control early.
Yeah. Move on to some other sectionals and stuff coming up. Also on that other Class 1, the girls, Naylor took out Orion. Naylor is looking maybe like another team that can make another run to state, and hopefully they always seem to get there. They don't really seem to perform well at state. Hopefully they can do better there. But let's talk a little bit about the Class 2 sectional going on, and this has happened yesterday, of course, but with Bloomfield and Thayer and Scott Central girls and Neelyville girls. Jinx, first off in the girls, who you got?
Well, Neelyville, I think Neelyville's the definite favorite for that. So, sorry, Coach Limbaugh, but Neelyville's a huge favorite in that one.
Scott Central's young. They have a lot of young girls, and they getting a district title was a step in the right direction. They're just not quite yet to make that next step.
You don't mess with those Ozark Foothills girls teams over there. Those teams can play.
Those girls, they know exactly how to play. But Bloomfield, before we run out of time, what do you run down to them with Thayer? I think they pull this one out. They've proven to me that they're a smart basketball team who knows how to take teams. Thayer's no pushover.
I think they're playing their carbon copy. Yeah. And I've heard how good Thayer is. Thayer's got, I think, a little more size. I think that may cause them a problem. I think the fact that Bloomfield plays kind of a slower pace kind of plays into Thayer's hands. You take Bloomfield, I'll take Thayer, but I think it's a toss-up. It's a toss-up. I think either one of those teams can win it and then have a chance to move on to the Final Four. Yeah,
against Scott Central, you had guys like those role guys step up. You had Timmy Hector with the big shots early, and then Noah Vander just being he's not going to take over games. He's just going to be a consistent threat for Bloomfield, and you have those role guys like Alex Gibbs get big rebounds and stuff like that. They need those guys. When their role guys are going, that's when they're the best, and it's not when those stars are going, because they don't take off. They're not a takeover game type player. But when you have those role guys going, Bloomfield is very tough.
Yeah, they're going to have to hit some shots early. But I think it's going to go down to the wire. I think it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, we'll go to Three Rivers, and that's the yellow. So who knows what's going to happen in the yellow gym? At least it's not orange. But I do love orange. That's a pretty color.
Speaking of that, we have Charleston and Crothersville in Class 3, and that's we saw the first meeting of that. I think Charleston, until you beat them, and they kind of rise to the occasion this time of year. I think until you beat them, I think they're the favorite to win this game. But Crothersville's no pushover. They're a good team.
Yeah, Charleston goes back to the same site that they didn't quite take over New Madrid in that epic overtime game last year, but. I think they're kind of looking for a little bit of revenge from last year. Charleston doesn't really end the season that early a lot of times in the sectional, but we'll see. As far as I'm taking Charleston, I do like Crothersville. Again, just Tyrone Alston and guys like that. They're a lot more skilled. That we've talked about before. There's a lot more skilled than that, and they've proven that they're kind of ready to take this next step. I don't think they're yet ready to take down Charleston.
One more game, real quick. Class 4 District 1 girls.
Yes.
Dexter Sikeston. If they meet.
The main event, baby.
Right. If they meet. Yeah. I think Sikeston's going to struggle with Notre Dame. I really do. I think that's going to be kind of the same situation as Cape Central Kennett. I think they're going to struggle. But I think they do pull it out, and I think that you have everybody's final that they want to see, a rematch of Sykes upsetting Dexter a couple weeks ago. Who you got? I'm
taking Sykes.
I'm going to take Dexter for the same reason I'm taking Sykes, and I think that I think they're going to be motivated. They're not going to like that loss. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be a good game. I hope it is.
But yeah, and the only reason is I think Sikeston I can't remember a time where they've ever beaten Dexter. Getting over that hurdle I think says a lot about those girls because they know in their mind now that they can beat them. Going in earlier and before they go in as well, we've never beat this team.
Right.
You know, they steadily knock off chunks of that big, huge wall that's been in front of that Sikeston girls basketball program.
As we've seen a lot from the other side, from the boys' side, it's tough when you get that district championship game when a team is used to being there and the other team's kind of still trying to break through that hurdle. It's tough.
I don't know. It just feels like I feel like Sikeston can do it again. I really do.
You know, either way, I honestly think that's why they're going to have trouble with Notre Dame. I think they may be looking ahead a little bit. I think it may be, and Notre Dame's no slouch.
So they're not. And Sikeston, they've played them twice, I believe to my knowledge, and have handled them fairly easily. And it's one of those things where you don't want to look over because it's still Notre Dame. But I think they get past Notre Dame and take care of it.
I think they get past them. I think it's close. Close.
Could be close. Could be close. But anyway. That's it.
We'll find out if we're right next week.
Us
Yeah, he's always giving us this
for like a couple minutes.
Yeah, whatever.
He's like big whoop.
We ignore him as much as we can. So we'll see you guys next week on The Last Word.